And I will tell you now, I'm not a liberal. I'm a conservative man. It's just that what I want to conserve as an African Caribbean man is different from what European men want to conserve, because that serves their interests. But my role is to uphold, promote, and preserve my values, and then identify my tribe who also desire to uphold, promote, and preserve our values. Now, we don't get to that place where we truly understand what our values are until we close the door. And like Hove said, until you're by yourself, you can't be free. Until you're by yourself, you can't be me. How we still gonna be slaves in 2016? Now, 2023, we're no more powerful than we were as African and African Caribbean men when we landed here in the 50s. There's something wrong with that. And herein lies what is wrong with that. What is wrong with that looks just like you and just like me. But here's the important factor. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. There was a time there was something wrong with my story. And when I shut the door and I went behind it, I went inside and I changed my story. I didn't realize just how deep the programming that gets us from nursery through school, secondary school, college, early employment had been imprinted on my DNA. And at 49, I had to go through a long process that some people call shadow work that enabled me to unlearn and then relearn what I was required to know. Because similarly at 49, I don't believe anything. I either know or I don't know. If I know, I speak and I convey my wisdom. If I don't, I shut my mouth, I research, I find a mentor, and I learn it completely. But when I come to the table, I bring my whole self. And I can bring my whole self confidently, not changing how I speak, not changing how I think, because I've adopted fuck the world and save the self. So forgive me while I defer to the wisdom of our sponsor for more downloads. We are the most powerful men on earth, but we suffer from the elephant phenomenon, the circus elephants phenomenon, where it was beaten with an iron rod so long that now you just tie a little piece of red string that he won't move because he doesn't believe he can. There's nothing holding us to be self-regulating other than your reflection and my reflection. Do intelligent men self-regulate? Do free men self-regulate? It's a rhetorical question. So herein lies where the power actually lives. And thereby this is your now only pursuit. Because I will quote Hove again. If fear's your only God, then fear's my only job. A free man can solve every single last one of his own problems. So when I say that, it sounds so simple, right? So that means you've created your own revenue generation to pay your bills. That means you can say what you want to say. You can now provide for others. You've gained the intellectual capital to be able to solve all of your own problems based on your experience and now your discernment in employing these solutions. And that means you don't rely on the permission of anybody. When you get to that lofty place, you are free. But there's a huge cost to get into that place. And you gotta be willing to lose a lot of what you have and a lot of who you have. Because you may love people that just aren't beneficial to your story. And no matter how much you love them, how big you love them, they will never be beneficial to your story. So when I say you really got to say fuck the world and save the self, you got to create your spell book. So the first thing I'll tell you, this ain't Harry Potter, but you go get your wand. You see that pen, 4-color pen? That represents the compartmentalization of my mind. When I write in a very compartmentalized way. And I'll give you a snapshot into my spell book. I write everything. I compartmentalize every single aspect of my life. So as you are handed downloads are the gift of your ancestors. We contain libraries. Now, we hear this bandied around so much, and there's a stage where you'll say it and you'll even get in the shower and you'll start to get solutions come to you, or the bath, however the water travels through you. And you say, yeah, I've got it, because I had it a decade ago. I would get in the shower and solutions will come to me and I'll say, yeah, with my ancestors, but I didn't know. And this is why I say this part is the application. And the reason I didn't know is because I hadn't lost enough to become completely appreciative to the universe, the higher consciousness, to really submit to the higher consciousness. So let me explain it in lay people terms. If you think about this glass bottle being our physical form, this is my body, and you think about the spirit inside being our spirit, that cap represents the veil between us in the physical form and the etheric realm. In order to access the etheric realm, we need to remove that cap. That cap is just a knowing. It's nowhere near as complicated as we think it is. But it's not about belief. You need to genuinely know. And when you actually submit completely, it's very different to feigning it or saying the words for optics. So you see what I just did? Everything that polluted that bottle has now polluted the glass, which represents the greater consciousness, and everything that polluted the glass pollutes what was in the bottle. This is how we access the etheric realm. So it's quite literally just our imagination. And when you're a child, everything done to socialize you in school is designed to dull down your imagination. Because remember, we get to school, we want to play with Play-Doh, we want to make Lego, we want to play in the sand, and we want to build, we want to play with balsa wood, we want to create. And then everything that happens from that point therein, the human monkey chatter that is uploaded to our CPUs, our consciousness is about reducing who we are. And within that, a personality is constructed. But that personality isn't actually who we are. Now that personality comes with a voice, but the personality wasn't completely designed by us. And if we don't have the clarity to understand that, we're going to play out our lives as a character who is acting. Now, imagine you were given a role in a movie that you didn't want to play. Do we understand why we go and drink as much as we can on a Friday night to throw it up now? Do we understand that we got a beautiful woman in our house, but we want to go and fuck down the world? Do we understand that we have kids, but we spending time on our phones? It's because the character is unfulfilled. You see, the character has something which is a bottomless pit called desire. And that desire can never be fulfilled. You know, it doesn't matter. You got your Ferrari, what's next? You got 1,000 suits, what's next? You got 10 women. Hey man, I mean, heads and tails. I had 2 at a time, I had 3 at a time. You can't get over it. There's no filling that bottomless pit. There's always more. And that more can destroy a man who doesn't have content of character. Not the character he inherited from social conditioning, but the character of his own creation that he actually is, because he's done the shadow work, because he closed the doors and windows of his house. And this is what's required. But you see, in order to adopt anything, we have to put everything into a routine. And this is what the most successful people in the world will never tell you. They will never tell you that as they come across information, they adopt it immediately and apply it to their routine.